Hey there, friends and foes. Sorry about that delay. This is John Pike, the prophet of pop culture. You can call me Johnny. We had some issues with Facebook this morning, but that's okay. We are here live with Back of the Cereal Box. We are brought to you by Hitchhiker Toys, and we're going to have a lot of fun in the virtual rec room this morning because joining us live is Rhaegar from the Then Is Now podcast, and we're going to welcome him right after this.
It's like Coca-Cola, Levi Strauss, Johnny Carson and Mickey Mouse. The first star was James Dean, Elvis Presley and he's still the king. Some things are only imitatable. You can't beat an original. Oh, you can't beat an original.
All right, guys and gals, friends and foes, welcome to Back of the Cereal Box. I am your host, the prophet of pop culture, John Pica. You can call me Johnny. And you know what? I'm back in the studio after being out of the studio for 4 weeks, and I realized that you get really rusty at running the studio really, really quick. And so I'm still learning all over again. It's really not fun. Adulting is hard. We are brought to you this morning by Hitchhiker Toys in White House, Tennessee. Check them out at hitchhikertoys.com. Our theme song was recorded by the Murdering Crows, and you can get their album, Four Bad Crows, at Amazon, Google, and Apple Music. And, of course, brought to you by our super fans, Charisse Collins, Cindy Kep, Brian Huff, Dave Manginelli, Dave Mattingly, Crystal Raven-Jones, Eli Cash, and you, too, can have your name in lights at buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod. Now, we've got a crowded rec room this morning. We've got a big party happening. People are showing up to have fun with us this morning, and I'm glad that you are here with us. Here's how this works. As we're doing the show, you get to be a part of the show by posting comments, and we are going to interact with you. And the first question that we have to ask is, where in the world is co-host Dee Barty? And co-host Dee Barty is on vacation with her family. So subbing in, she got the tag. It is the one, the only Willow Schuyler. And Willow isn't just subbing for Dee Barty. She is going to be a regular co-host going forward. Surprise, surprise, surprise. We're super excited about that. The Peppermint Princess, the socialite, she is here with us. So for those of you who don't know, my name is John Pica. I am the prophet of pop culture. Avengers movies, or Avengers comics and Star Wars movies made me who I am today. And I'm an author, actor, singer, magician, podcaster. Willow, tell everyone who you are, what you do, and what's in your bowl this morning. This morning, I'm eating Sonic the Hedgehog cereal.
Well, okay, so I'm a huge pop culture nerd myself. Saturday morning cartoons was pretty much it for me, where, I'd wake up every morning at the crack of dawn and get a bowl of cereal and park myself in front of the TV for the next 10 hours or however long it was. But yeah, I'm Canadian, so we had a lot of interesting shows. We got a lot of the typical cartoons like Jetsons, Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, but we had a lot of our own cartoons as well. And so we'll get to talking about that later. But yeah, I love movies. I love cartoons. I love comics, pretty much everything.
Awesome. Well, let's welcome in our other regular co-hosts. the queen of hopeful simplicity, Melissa Stetcher. Melissa, tell everyone who you are, what you do, and what's in your bowl.
Good morning. So I've already had a shower and a cup of coffee, so I'm on to cup 2. So
What?
hold on, friends. I am Melissa. For those of you that don't know, I am the owner and creator of Hopeful Simplicity. So I get to help people achieve a less stressed lifestyle by focusing just 15 minutes a day on organizing. Fandoms, my top 3, let's go top 3 because really that list could last, is going to be Harry Potter. These are all Harry Potter pops. Only my Harry Potter ones. Harry Potter, Gears of War, and Disney. But I pretty much love books and nerds and fandoms. And in my handled bowl today, it's Folgers in your cup. Ding. But I did, just for you, Johnny. I got my steps in already because I'm like, why am I in the kitchen again? Why am I down here again? And I remembered to bring our Rubbermaid container of our favorite in this house, our Reese Puffs. But I'm not going to lie, I have 3 of these because they fit perfectly in the pantry space. And one of them still has like the cocoa Halloween chocolate thing. Because I don't like
Well, there are enough preservatives in it that it's not going to go bad. You
Melissa,
can eat that 20 years from now.
Melissa, you will be so proud of me. I ended up putting together my Ghostbuster cereal and my Blueberry cereal, and together.
Is that what you have right now?
Yeah, it's good. It is really good.
Of course it is. Yes.
Does the Ghostbuster one absorb the Blueberry one? Because they're
There's more Ghostberry stuff in there than the Blueberry, but yeah.
It's just some like
I needed to make room in my cupboard for other stuff, so I amalgamated 2 cereals into one.
Good job. High five.
So virtual high five. We also need to welcome in our other co-host. She's gonna body slam you with laughter all the way from New York City. It is the Silver Queen, Ivy Roman. Ivy, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and what's in your bowl, because we always have new people joining us who don't know what the heck this is.
Yeah, well, first off, good morning, beautifuls. How are you? Everyone.
Good morning.
Hold on, before I introduce myself, I'm Melissa, our tradition. Good morning. So, my name is Ivy Roman. I'm a professional wrestler, comedian, podcaster. Myself, I have my own podcast called Healing with Ivy on Spotify. And my fandom is X-Men, top 3, like Melissa. X-Men, Spider-Man, and wrestling, y'all. Of course, wrestling is my biggest fandom. And today in my bowl, we have Fruit Loops. If you guys follow Back at the Cereal Box on Instagram, I do these fun, crazy reels every once in a while. And I ask you guys what cereal I should get. So we are down to the last of the Fruit Loops. And this is what we're enjoying today. I usually have it in my coffee, but I like having my Fruit Loops like with no milk. So we're having coffee and some Fruit Loops today.
Fruit Loops are a respectable dry cereal snack.
Mm-hmm.
They are perfect for, just popping on the go or watching a movie or a cartoon series. We have 2 guests in the rec room this morning. One is our regular guest. He joins us every month, one Saturday a month, all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina. It is the one, the only host of Drew versus the World, Drew Milden.
Hey, I'm not watching what I'm supposed to watch now. Hey everybody, how's it going? First and foremost, nice to see the wonderful ladies. Johnny, happy Father's Day. In advance.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Disappointed face. I love you, Drew.
First and foremost, my name is Drew. I'm the host of Drew vs. the World podcast, and my fandom is Spider-Man, Avengers, and anything pop culture. Honestly, I'm a plethora of knowledge when it comes from Simpsons to musicals to comedy to local New York reference to local Charlotte references to local shows, How I Met Your Mother, Seinfeld, like just a wide wash.
How I
of
Met Your
different
Father.
Love. That show is interesting.
How I Met Everybody on the Screen. That needs to be a show.
Basically, that's the next show.
You sound like Gilbert Garfield. How I Met Everybody on the Screen. All right,
You know, it's the strangest thing. I was in New York, and they said, Johnny,
it's always
you got a phone call, but you gotta go to Nashville, Tennessee to answer it. So I come down. I gotta tell you, it's more fun than USA's Up All Night.
Here's the thing. So I usually bring a snack, and this week I'm just doing Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It looks like Cinnamon Toast Crunch is like X-rated. It's gonna blur it out. This is also respectable. I'm doing it dry too.
So can I just say, Drew, as a health food fan, Drew, as a healthy living fan, you are going to appreciate that Sonic the Hedgehog cereal does not have any ingredients on it that you cannot pronounce.
It makes you go fast.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Pretty good. I'll do a full review later on
Get
it.
that one.
I did.
I got it really quickly, and I was just like, wait, hold up.
I spilled a box of the Captain Crunch Cinnamon Bolts cereal on my office floor, and those do make your dog go fast. Anyway, so we need to welcome our very special guest. He is the host of the Then Is Now podcast and has his fingers in so many other things. He's such a cool guy. He is a pop culture historian himself, Roger Frolian. Welcome to the virtual rec room. He's on mute. You're muted, Roger. Uh-oh.
We're entertaining.
Uh-oh. He doesn't know he's on mute.
You're on mute.
I'm mute.
You're muted.
There we go.
There we go.
I apologize. My virtual background's not working. I don't know. I'm used to Zoom, so this is new to me. But in my bowl today, I'm so honored to be here. Let's see if I can get this. In my bowl today, I have got blueberry Cheerios.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Which are really good. Normally, lately, my diet's sort of been like a protein shake in the morning and a protein shake in the afternoon, and then like a real small dinner. But I'm really enjoying this cereal, so I'm glad to be here. Glad to meet you all, and it's awesome. Yeah, I host Then Is Now podcast. I also host the East Meets the West podcast, where we talk about Shaw Brothers films and spaghetti western movies, which are films that came out between the 60s and the 80s. And I just want to say that I'm just so psyched and stoked. I have to say this. I just got hired as a writer for a company called Static Media, and their website is thelist.com. I'm going to be a new soap opera news writer for that website. And it's not a joke.
That is
It's not a joke.
awesome.
It's so cool. I mean, I've been watching
Congrats.
General Hospital since 1981.
Yeah.
My wife can attest, we watch it every night, and so now I got to bone up on the other shows.
Yeah, that is amazing. Congrats.
We gotta go watch our stories.
There you
Yes.
go. Yeah, my Nana always said that. I want to watch my stories now, and I would watch them with her. One Life to Live, and All My Children in General Hospital. So
I love all my children.
Days of Our Lives doesn't progress after 30 years.
Right.
Absolutely. It's the same.
Marlene is still possessed by the devil.
Mhm.
Well, for everyone who's just now tuning in, wondering what this big party is all about, we are called Back of the Cereal Box because some of us on the screen are of an age where we did not have iPhones or iPads at the breakfast table on Saturday morning. In between cartoons, comics, kaiju, and kung fu movies, we were reading the back of the cereal box, and that was the newspaper to us, right, Roger? That was like the entire
Yes.
world.
Yeah.
And it is the pop culture, the portal to the pop culture that we celebrate. So we are a podcast that celebrates the pop culture of our youth, the pop culture from the back of the cereal box, while celebrating. I just messed that all up, Melissa. I've got your tongue this morning, tang-tungled. We are a pop culture podcast celebrating the fun of the Saturday mornings of our youth while surviving adulthood today. And you guys, I got to tell you, adulthood has been particularly difficult for me this weekend. I'm just going to throw that out there. Opened
Me
a new
too,
show.
Johnny. This whole week has been an adventure.
I know. Ivy and I have been talking on the phone just about every morning. It's been funny what's been going on. But go ahead, Drew.
I was gonna say, Rigor. You said you're a General Hospital fan.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So, do you know Taggart?
Yes.
Lieutenant Taggart?
Yes.
He was actually on my podcast. Riel Andrews was actually on
wow.
my podcast. If you ever want to chat with him, I can send you his information. He's a pretty cool dude.
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
We've had a lot of celebrities on our show, and I would love to have him on. I would love to talk to him because he's such a great guy.
Yeah.
I need to put Drew in charge of booking guests for this show.
For real. You can take over Healing with Ivy too.
Ooh, I think I have a business.
I think so.
You know what, Drew? Let's have that conversation offline.
Outside.
Now,
Outside of
everyone
the live
watching, you can post comments and be a part of the show, like James Scott, who says, "What's up? What's up,
wow.
James
Hi,
Scott
James.
from across the pond?" And our very good friend Angel Love, the Curious Idealist, says, "Good morning, Pocket Friends." And she asks Ivy, "Did Ivy get a new mic?"
I did.
Hashtag sounding great.
Did. Thank you. So I have been getting paid to create content for certain brands. So I took the initiative and I said, I need new tech for Healing with Ivy and Back at the Cereal Box. It was at my highest priority. And I got some really good deals. And I have my HD mic. I have my HD camera. We're all set. I just need a bigger apartment so I can have a real studio.
Not in New York.
No, definitely not. I live in a box in
struggle,
Queens.
right?
We do like side by side desks, then high five in real life, and then I'll probably fall over. But
Yeah, this is the
I
real life
would do
struggle,
the
isn't
falling.
it?
I know how to fall.
So for all of those of you who did not see this week, we're going to be a little bit different format than our usual show. We're going to take a deep dive with Roger into the return of the Saturday movie horror hosts. But before we do that, I have to acknowledge a little bit of sad news. This week, the comic book world lost artist Tim Sale. If you guys don't know, Tim Sale is the legendary artist behind Spider-Man Blue, Batman, The Long Halloween. His artwork was just beautiful. It was all done with brush and watercolor. And here's his Daredevil work. One of the most influential artists of my generation, and someone that I've always looked up to with the way that he does art. And you guys, we have lost three major artists. Three major artists just within the last couple of weeks. Neil Adams, George Perez, and now Tim Sale, all within just a few weeks. You guys, adulting is hard.
I put security around you, Johnny. Can't lose you, buddy.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put a bubble over you.
Well,
Did
I'm
you
not
see Bob Saget's memorial that they have? I think it's online. It broke my heart. It's so good. Jim Carrey actually is saying jokes on a stage, like remembering him. It's so crazy.
I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen that. Now, normally we would do a segment for new loot, but believe it or not, guys, I don't have anything to pull out of the cereal box this morning, but I know that Melissa does, because I saw Melissa's reel where she got something very special in the mail. So, Melissa, show us what you got.
Well, I haven't been back since I went to PopCon. And so I brought a couple of the things from PopCon.
All right, share with us.
But, okay, so in the mail, this did come yesterday in the mail. And I got this in the mail because, so this is the Patronus, the cat Patronus.
Oh, cute. Oh, super cute.
They had it at PopCon, but if I can get it on Pop in a Box for like $10. Why am I going to pay $40? I'm all for supporting small, but come on now.
No, I'm right there with you.
But also let's just say, for 2+ years now, we have been looking for this.
Booger as Snape.
Boggart
Wow.
is
Very nice.
Snape. Guess who didn't pay over $200 for it? This
You.
girl. Guess who paid like under $80 for it? Well, the person this girl went with, but
who is Boggart?
The Boggart is Snape in like when he comes out of the closet.
Mhm.
Like this is the thing that scares Neville most is Professor Snape. So Professor Snape is dressed up as Neville in Neville's grandmother's clothes to bring that hilarity to it.
Huh?
It's you should really deep dive into some of my fandoms, Johnny.
Ooh.
I'm just saying, you have to watch all these things, and I'm like, meh.
I've watched all of the Harry Potter movies, but I don't remember that.
And then
I know Tom Riddle.
So this is the sepia one. I also got this at Indiana PopCon or Indie PopCon.
Johnny, it was the beginning. It was like the second movie or first movie where they were doing their charms and everything was coming out the closet, showing their worst fears.
It's the third one. It's
Yeah,
my
third one.
favorite because Gary Oldman. But.
And then the Boggart comes out and is, I believe he's a Dementor for Harry. And the Snape has to stop it, or with the professor, whatever his name, has to stop it.
Lupin
Remember that?
it.
Lupin stops
Lupin,
it.
yeah.
I get all my stuff. I know it. It's all in here.
Yeah.
You just got to separate the files in your brain. Like,
Right.
you know, I'm looking for this one.
It's been a while too. Yeah.
And Drew, do you play Borderlands at all?
Yes.
Okay.
This was a movie supposed to come out, right?
Oh my god, I can't freaking wait for that. But I may have gotten in the box yesterday the new Tiny Tina Pop. So I have all the ladies. I've got Lilith, Maya, and
I like the ladies more than I like the guys in that movie, in that show, in that game.
Well,
hello, Keisha.
Hi,
well,
Keisha.
I didn't win those, so I kept the ladies when we split. Ridiculous. Yes, Dave. Good morning. Sorry, 2 cups. My bad.
I'm trying very hard to save up to get a Mad Moxie costume made. So yeah.
Ooh.
You should come to Gen Con. There's normally somebody. Oh my gosh, she's so cute, and she does it in roller skates all day. Oh, no.
I know one of the women who actually works at their booth. So it's like she dresses up as Mad Moxie and works their booth, and I'm just like, that's my goal one day is to go down and.
I got that reference. Anything else, Melissa, that you got to show off? You got a big box in the mail.
I did. Okay, but I already took it downstairs. But I also got
Okay.
these at PopCon. I'm not going to take them all out. I'll take one out so you can see it.
Ooh, that's-
That is an
really
appropriate
nice.
reaction.
Wow.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
That's
So I've
amazing.
got these to go with my various fandoms so I can frame them and then.
That's a great idea, though.
That
How
is
they
so
did that.
cute.
That's
I
pretty
love
cool.
that.
I love
yeah.
that.
That's
Yeah,
so
I had to
creative.
get drug away. He was like, okay, you get 4, I'll get 4. No, put those back. No, don't do those. No, we don't need that. Really? Put it back. Put it back. Put it back. I'm like, but if I get 10 and then you get 10 and then we get no. I'm like, okay. So,
You're welcome, Melissa.
thank you, Johnny. It was
So-
such a good time.
So I know that Drew, you probably have some new loot. Ivy, Willow, but Ivy, I wanted you to talk real quick about this. I am
Oh my
holding up
God.
the cover
Yes.
to Do a Power Bomb.
I love
This-
it.
we were sent this comic to review by Image Comics, and as soon as Ivy read it 2 weeks ago, she emailed me and said, "Oh my God, I've got to talk about this." And so let's hear your thoughts, Ivy, about Do a Power Bomb.
Well, I don't want to give too much away because it is so amazing that everyone really needs to get their copy like ASAP. Like after this live, you need to buy it. What I loved about the story is a young woman, a female wrestler, independent wrestler, and she has a daughter. And, it just shows a match that didn't go well. Spoiler alert, she, is no longer wrestling or no longer with her daughter. And it took me back of just the struggles as a female independent wrestler, just trying to figure out the business and make it work for you and make sure that you're also being present with your family at the same time that you're chasing this amazing dream. And it just shows the daughter eventually trying to follow in her mother's footsteps, and everyone kind of just keeping her away, trying to keep her away from the world. And then it's just it's one of those stories that you just can't put down. It's the same feeling I got when I first started reading Hellboy and Walking Dead. Just something that I can't think about just putting down. I need some Coheed and Cambria, and I'm just letting the story come to life off of the pages. It was amazing.
So grab that. Do a Power Bomb by Image Comics. It's on shelves at your local comic book shop. It's a seven issue series. Issue number 1 is out this week. All right, Drew, you got any loot for us?
But of course. So obviously this week is dad's weekend. So I'm just going to have dad related loot. My daughter,
I love that.
My daughter gave me this. We're going to blur her face, but it's like, I love you, Dad. And she made her handprints and all that good stuff here.
That is so cute.
Yeah.
You can see it. It's pretty dope.
I saw a little bit.
And then my son gave me a keychain, little foot keychain with a little poem.
Oh, that is so adorable.
And then this is what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to do a little, you can see it.
Scoot it back.
You see?
I don't know. Everything's blurry except for you. There we go.
Oh, I saw some of it. So you guys are going to paint it?
It's a cookie set.
Oh,
so
okay. I was close.
A cookie set where you can actually, hey, we're gonna do that because I want you to see this cookie set because it's from my kids. Here you go.
There we go. Yes.
Oh, that is so awesome.
All right.
And you paint the cookies, and they have little candy. It's like a gingerbread house basically, but a dad's version.
For dads.
It's gonna taste horrible.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it will be fun to do with the kids.
1,000%.
Can you record yourself just taking the first bite? I'm really curious of your facial expressions, like when you take that first bite.
We'll do.
So speaking of tasting horrible, you guys, I'm so upset. This past weekend, I was in Gatlinburg, and I was at a store called Emery 5 and Dime, and they had bacon soda with chocolate, and they say that everything is better with bacon.
Oh yeah,
it's a lie. Because I tried that soda, and it was the worst thing ever. Now I thought I was recording the taste test, and it didn't record. But I took one drink of it, and I was like, "Oh no!" And but I had to drink the whole thing because I paid almost $5 for it. So and it made me very sick afterwards. Willow, you got any loot for us, Willow?
Unfortunately, I do not.
That's okay.
My husband though has been getting a lot of stuff from. He got into a new game, so yeah, he's been getting a lot of stuff for his new game.
What game is it?
Battletech.
Oh.
So Melissa, you posted something in the chat. Is this a tip for Drew?
Yes, it is. She's nodding.
We'll share the tip with everybody. This is a helpful life tip, and you're on mute.
Yeah, because she's cursing you out.
Cursing so hard. By the way,
Why?
and Johnny, they made a chocolate Coke. I don't know if Pepsi or Coke made chocolate Coke or Pepsi.
I love
Punch
it.
in the Bloom. You had that before?
Yes, I love that.
Take that and mix it with the vanilla Coke. Oh my goodness, it's magical. Just
Ooh, I'll have
FYI.
to try that. So, Melissa, what was that helpful tip about the ice trays?
Okay, so if you're doing like those cookie sets or gingerbread things, and you've got kids, because kids, if you put them like everybody gets like their own individual ice tray, or you separate the candies into cupcake trays. Then you get this row and you get this row, and we do that, and then it's easier to clean up. Like they just dump and go because that tastes nasty.
Yeah, I have a 2-year-old and 6-year-old. It's just like Mad Max Fury Road every day. So
they're gonna go like this to you. They're gonna go like this. Throw it at you.
Now, Roger, do you have any new loot that you want to share with
Yes.
us and show off? All right.
Yes, absolutely. So
What
of
you
course,
got?
I finally was able to change my background, but it's not quite working. As you can see, my hand keeps teleporting away.
Yeah, I hate the
I thought you
virtual
were doing.
background.
I thought you were doing magic. My bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
But
this like
you
70s
do
background.
have a blue screen. You should be able to tell it that you're using a blue screen.
I did, and I just picked the 70s background because it was the first one I could find on my computer, and then now it's like, well, you got to join up if you want to put another one on. So I'm like, all right, fine. I'll
Wait,
stick with
what?
this one.
You're on
Yeah.
my account.
No,
Oh.
no.
Yeah, it wouldn't let
time,
me.
Yeah, every time you log in, it has to be a certain. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my daughter
All right,
got
I'm
me.
gonna have a conversation with StreamYard about that. All right, go ahead.
My daughter got me for Father's Day, and of course, I don't know if we can see this. Oh, that's
Oh my
weird.
God.
Ooh.
It's the Star Wars Mandalorian, the child talking clapper with nightlight.
Clap on, clap off,
Clap on.
clap
All
on,
gone.
clap off. The clapper.
You know what?
I
I'm
didn't
gonna bear with me for 1 second. I'm gonna shut this background off because I want to show you the other thing that I got. Let's see if I can do this. Just put none.
Clapper. I didn't even know
Um,
they still had those. I need to get one of those.
You know how in handy that would have came in after my comedy show Thursday night. Like the last thing I forgot was turn off the light.
So this is the child clapper. Am I showing you? Oh, there we go. That's it. It's
my-
the child. Isn't he cute?
This.
That is adorable.
So the other thing, it's not a new thing. It's something I've had my whole life, but it's one that I've shared with my son and my daughter, and now I'm sharing with my grandson. It's this book, Movie Monsters, and it's just awesome. It's like they talk about all of the old movies. This is from, and I'll tell you in a quick second. It's probably the early 70s.
Do you know that I probably
75.
checked, that book was in our school library, and I probably checked that out every week, all year long. I
I'm
was
sure you did.
obsessed with that book.
Oh yeah.
Nerd.
I have a hardcover book similar to that.
It's just awesome.
But so Roger, can we talk about the clapper for a minute? Do you remember that commercial?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember? You know, they're doing the song "Clap On," and then the lady at the end, she's the last one. Clap on, clap off the clapper, and then she's out. She's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to bed, bitches.
Definitely not supposed to say that in this show. Can we say stuff like that in this show now?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Johnny said it. Is that is
Hey.
that cosign? Did he just cosign on everybody?
Look,
I heard that was
Every-
permission.
The
Everybody
one I
else is
remember
made-
was the Dennis Miller routine where he was talking about how at the time Ronald Reagan was president. He's like, "Oh, hey, hold on, dog's eating the rest of my cereal."
We
Buddy.
love it. It'll make him go fast.
It'll make him go fast. He just ate all my cereal. Thank you, man.
That's awesome.
The Dennis Miller line where he was talking about Ronald Reagan, he's like, "Oh, Ronald Reagan has the nuclear missile set to the clapper. The clap on, all gone." Yeah.
Oh, that's
Classic.
funny.
I haven't seen Dennis Leary in so long. I wonder what he's doing nowadays.
Dennis Miller, not Dennis Leary.
Oh,
Did I say
okay.
Dennis Leary? I meant
Yeah,
Dennis Miller.
Okay.
Anyway, Hey, that's awesome. Hey, we got some comments from Nita Lanning of Raging 2 Broadcast Network, tuning in to see Willow for sure. She says, "Good morning, Breakfast Bunch." Good morning, Nita. And Nita, just for you, I've got the blue this morning, not the two-tone, not the Harley beard, but you get the blue. And she says, "Oh, they're awful but great fun." And I don't know what that is pertaining to, Nita. But Dave Mattingly says, "I used to have that movie Monsters book." Yeah, I was obsessed with that. That's an amazing share, Roger. And
Thank you.
Lisa Starr says, "I saw you at PopCon. Either me or Crayley or Melissa." But she says, "My mom asked you a question, so it was me. She was in one of my panels, and I was dressed as Hinata." Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, you close enough. Good job, Johnny.
How would you pronounce it, Drew?
Hinata.
So, welcome, Lisa. Glad to have you in the audience, and glad you're with us. Now, when Roger... Okay, so what happened was, a couple of weeks ago, we had a great guest on who said that she wanted to talk about her favorite horror hosts from Saturday morning. And it was actually, oddly enough, Drew, it was the same Saturday that you were on.
Don't show him, please. Don't show him.
Well, no, wait a minute. So just before we went live, the day before, Friday, the day before, I was like, oh my gosh, why did I not call Roger and ask him to be on the show? Because if anyone is a deep dive historian on this stuff, is Roger. And so I knew that he was going to be here this week. So I said, well, let's do it again. We'll revisit the TV horror hosts. You can be on, pick the date. Now, so Drew, for you last week, we reviewed Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and you bailed on us, but that's a whole nother story.
I had to go on a family vacation. He's like, I didn't.
What,
I mean, they didn't have internet where you were, Drew. They didn't have internet. You couldn't just zoom in real quick and give your 2 cents on Spidey. No, it's fine. It's fine. Have a seat.
Oh, geez.
So
He sounds like every girlfriend I had from like age 7.
So
Why you didn't call me back?
That's awesome.
So this week I was reviewing Moon Knight issue number 1 from 1980 for Back Issue Breakfast Club. Reading the facsimile version, which is a reprint of the actual original version with all of the ads and everything. And I'm going through it, and in the centerfold was this ad for CBS Saturday morning.
Wow.
Right in the center was the ad for the Drak Pack animated series. I had not thought of this show since 1980. And to my dismay, there was a reason. But I thought to myself, Rhaegor's going to be on, and we're going to be talking about horror hosts. What better time to do a cartoon review of the Drak Pack than when he's with us? So it was all synchronicity. So I have no idea what's going on. So I sent the entire crew the link to the full episode on YouTube, and we, or some of us anyway, watched the Drak Pack episode 1. And for those of you who don't know, it was launched in September of 1980, September 6th to be exact, and it featured Drak, Frankie, and the little wolf boy. I forget his name. But they were regular teenagers who could transform into these superpowered next generation monsters to fight crime. And they fought against Dr. Dread and his henchmen. Dr. Dread is the character in purple and green and blue there. And one of his henchmen was Vampira. And we're gonna that segues into our next segment. Now, I watched this, guys,
Me too.
and it took me 3 freaking days to get through 20
It's rough.
minutes.
The photo you showed of the show was better than any of the animation actually in the show, and then and secondarily, it just fits the mold of what we've been talking about for probably like 3 weeks, kind of like Fang Face and what's the other one with the buggy, like, and then the Mystery Machine. It kind of fits that mold that they were doing. It's like have 3 people in a buggy type like convertible or whatever, just drive around fighting crime. That's all it was. It was like, now let's put them as monsters. And like, okay, it was rough to watch. This, like you said, Johnny, it took you 3 times to watch it. This is actually like the maybe 4th or 5th time, because I keep on starting. I'm like, oh, I can't do this, and then stop because the dialogue in there is. Ooh.
Roger, I remembered loving this show as a kid. 10-year-old Johnny could not wait to watch this show, but I had completely forgotten about it, and now I know why.
Yeah, I
That's
agree. I agree.
Was that the show you played in the background while you played with like your toys?
No, I was like transfixed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember when it premiered, and back in the day, for all you youngsters out there, they would have a show on like Friday night, and it would say, "Hey, these are all the new cartoons we're going to premiere on a Saturday morning." Like every network did that, all 3 of them, and this was one of them. And I remember going, "Oh my god, I have to see that!" And I watched it. I like you, John. I didn't remember it until you sent it to me. I was like, "Oh yeah, the Drak Pack." So I watched that with my grandson, who's 5. He lives with us. And at the end of the show, he goes, "That wasn't funny." And, I unpacked a lot from that episode. There were so many little things that they put into it. I mean, the Toad looked and sounded like Peter Lorre.
Yeah.
Dr. Dredd kind of resembled Vincent Price. Drak Jr. kind of sounded like Don Adams from Get Smart. And there were a few Get Smart references in there. Vampira, who actually, let me clear the air here. Vampira is just named after the horror host. There really is no connection beyond that.
Well, they did. They definitely modeled her.
Yeah,
after Vampira.
Exactly.
And we're going to talk about her in a minute.
Eva Gabor's Hungarian accent, or Eva Gabor. Dracula's toothbrush only had like 2 things of bristles for his fangs.
I was like, oh.
Howler had the breath like the big red wolf.
Howler, yes.
Yeah.
The superpowered breath. That was pretty impressive.
And in 1980, we were just coming off the 70s, and most of the time with decades, they kind of overlap. So when I was watching it, I didn't actually know, I couldn't remember what year it was from, but this was very 70s. It had that, like you said, it was that Hanna-Barbera kind of animation, 3 guys in a convertible solving crimes. So it was cool because they even made a disco reference at one point in it. The DVDs are available on Amazon, but they're ridiculous. I would never pay.
Well, it's
$89.
It's free on YouTube. Now, did anyone else think when you were watching this that Frankie's voice was voiced by Jim Varney, Ernest?
I did not think of that.
I didn't think about it, but I knew the voices sounded familiar.
No, it's William Calloway. He did the voice of both Frankie and Howler. Now, that's interesting, though. Drak, I thought, was more analogous to like Sean Cassidy or Davy Jones, the teen heartthrob Leif Garrett kind of characters.
Yes, yeah. Drak was voiced by Jerry Dexter. And William Calloway, I mean, all of them were like Hanna-Barbera guys that did all the cartoons. William Calloway also did Aquaman in the Super Friends.
Oh, that's funny. And the guy who did Dr. Dredd in this also did the voice of the villain, the Chameleon, from the Spider-Man episode that we reviewed last week. So he got around quite a bit too.
Yeah.
John, that was Hans Conried. He was Captain Hook in the Peter Pan film, the Disney animated movie. And he was also Wrong Way Feldman on Gilligan's Island. I recognize his voice right away.
That's awesome. So Willow
was getting paid.
Willow, you did not watch this until this morning. I gave you 3 minutes. And did you make it through the full 3 minutes?
I made it past like the title sequence and a little bit of the start. Yeah. Okay. I will be honest, it's probably better than a lot of the cartoons that are out now. But
That's fair.
yeah, the art is fantastic. Like I can see why you were drawn to it. It's very reminiscent of the times of the early 80s art.
Well, I mean, what 10-year-old kid wouldn't be like super
I would love
excited
the
about that?
toys. I would want the toys of that.
Never made a toy line.
Ooh.
Right.
As they shouldn't.
No, if they had made a toy line, it
Maybe.
probably would have lasted more than what I think 13 episodes.
16.
16. Okay, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I mean, when I watched it, like there was only one part that stood out to me because of like adulting, and
Yep.
it's been a rough week, and I was just like, oh, I found something to laugh about. Let me just post this on my social.
Well, yes. So Ivy posted a scene from the show where Toad is working at the control, and he says, "Master, I need to go get lunch." And he's like, "Lunch? You don't need lunch.
Keep
You
working.
you can do more work. You work through your lunch." Okay, master. Oh, whatever you say, master.
Okay, no problem.
And Ivy's like, "This is corporate America today."
Yeah, exactly. Can I point out? I just wanted to point out the guy who does the voice of the Mummy Man was Chuck McCann, and he was a famous comedian at the time. Yeah, there he is, Mummy Man. He hosted a lot of kids shows back in the 60s, and you guys are I don't know, any of you may remember him. He was also in the show Far Out Space Nuts. He was sort of the skipper to Bob Denver's Gilligan kind of character.
Yes, I love that show. It doesn't hold up either.
No, it doesn't, but it's great. It's like I remember those Sid and Marty Krofft shows.
Yeah.
They're awesome. Yeah.
All right.
You know what other show he was in? Cool McCool. I don't know if you remember that, guys.
That's right. Yep.
That's like an old one that I just pulled out my
Archives.
Cool McCool. We're gonna have to check that one out.
And
Can we
Julie
do
McWhirter.
Wacky Racers, please? Just Wacky Racers, please.
Wacky Races,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I love that. Julie McWhirter did the voice of Vampira, and you guys might remember her as the voice of Smurfette in the Smurfs show.
Okay.
Hans Conried also narrated Fractured Fairy Tales. Oh, I loved Fractured Fairy Tales. That was so funny. And Drew Mattingly says, I remember Chuck McCann from They Went That Away.
Right.
And then he asks, Dave Mattingly asks, did Chuck McCann also do Doritos commercials or something? Do you know the answer to that, Roger?
I know, I can't remember the guy's name, but it wasn't him. It was the dude with the mustache and the curly hair that did it. He passed away probably like 5 years ago or so. But it wasn't Chuck McCann. No, I don't think so.
So, Melissa, I got to ask, did you watch the Drak Pack?
No.
All right. So that's all of Melissa's commentary on that. Moving right along, we got some more comments. Ryan Permisson says, "Hello, ladies. How are you?"
Ryan.
Oh, hi, Johnny. Yeah. Well, Ryan, you may have noticed that. Never mind. There is a method to my madness, and it brought you to the yard. Anyway, Ryan says, "What's up, Drew?" And Ryan also says, "You missed your Spider-Man moment last week, Drew. What happened?"
Hold on, but let me read this comment, Johnny.
Okay.
You missed your Spider-Man moment last week, Drew. What happened? What happened?
No. That's why I got a wife.
You didn't
That's
get
why
to
you
work
have
through
one
lunch.
now,
You didn't
or-
get to work through your lunch. That's what it was. No PTO.
And Sandra Noel says, "Good morning." And she had Oops All Berries this morning, which is super respectable. And she just reminded us that, yes, last week we had Ernest Day at Warner Parks in Dixon last week. So it's a day because Jim Varney, Ernest, was from Middle Tennessee. And so every year we have Ernest Day here in Middle Tennessee, and I've never been able to go.
Is
But-
everybody just
You
nice
missed
during that
another
day?
one, Johnny. You missed another one.
Speaking
Is everybody
of, I
just kind to everybody on that day?
Well, no. Everyone just walks around going, "Know what I mean, Vern?"
Or
Speaking of
everybody
which,
just
I have this
scared
book.
stupid?
I don't know if you
know.
can-
Montgomery
my
Bell
background
State Park.
Oh, what is that? What do you have?
Hold on, I gotta shut my background off so we can actually see it. This is called "The Importance of Being Earnest: Life of Actor Jim Varney." It's by his son, Justin Lloyd, and
Is
I'm
that
trying to get
Ernest?
the guy on the show. I got to read
Yeah.
the book first, though. But it's it's funny that you mentioned Jim Varney because it's an amazing biography about his life. I mean, he was a Shakespearean trained actor
Yeah,
before he
dude was
became,
an
you know, doing the
amazing actor.
Christie's commercials.
Amazing
Yeah.
actor. And he created Ernest for Dairy Mart commercials. And I don't know, it was a regional thing, but they carried it in different places. And he did these commercials where he would go into the local convenience store and get a Slurpee or whatever, and he'd turn to the clerk and go, "You know what I mean, Vern?" And it became a thing, and he became a huge cultural phenomenon.
Oh yeah, I mean around here it was for a chain of convenience stores called Christie's, and he'd go,
Yeah.
"Hey Vern, shop Christie's." Know what I mean? You know?
Yeah. And up at home in North Canton, Ohio, it was Lawson's Dairy Mart.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a great Jim Varney cosplayer named Billy Crank, says Dave Mattingly. We'll have to check him out. So any other last thoughts on Drak Pack, everybody? How about the audience? Anybody else
Can we
a
not?
fan of Drak
Can we
Pack?
not watch another episode? That'd be good.
You know what? Just for you, Ivy, we will revisit it in the future. Just for that. snarky
No,
comment.
I have a request, and my request is that we review a cartoon of my choice since I was born in the 90s, and I've
Okay.
been watching all these awesome and questionable new cartoons.
Well, you were absent the day that we did Gem and the Holograms, and where
didn't
and
watch
where
that
were you?
one.
Where were you when we did Cuphead? That's a new one.
I did watch Cuphead.
Oh, that's right. You said it was
I
your
was
thing.
I was with you, Johnny.
That's right.
I
Okay.
was with you.
Hey, John, I would love to come back if you want to talk about regular show because I've watched every episode.
Oh my goodness, I would talk about that all day and how
Yeah,
like
me too.
it's like mesmerizing. It's just the like antithesis of new age media. I love it.
So you guys, I got a love-hate relationship with regular show because my son was obsessed with it. I watched it a lot, but I really believe that to appreciate that show, you have to be high on acid.
You don't know me, Johnny.
In here.
Now, you guys, sadly, Melissa has to jump out in just a minute. She's got a hard stop in 6 minutes.
Same.
She's got to go get her hair did.
Same. I got a hard stop. I gotta get my hair did too.
Okay, well, so Melissa, before you leave, I want to share a little news with the audience so that they know what's going on. Melissa is going to be stepping back a little bit from the program because she's got a new career opportunity that is going to take her higher, faster, and further. But to do that, she's not going to be able to be with us every Saturday morning like she has been.
Melissa, are you joining Justice League?
Yeah. How'd you know?
Okay.
Wait, she's becoming one of the 7? What?
Oh no!
Her code name's the organizer. I love it.
Is that why you sent me that random email telling me to buy a one-way ticket and ask questions when I land?
Oh my god! Speaking of
Great.
a one-way ticket, I keep telling Ike, it's like I can't wait to go to New York. He's like, we can only go if. And I'm like, F what? If the minute we land, you don't start singing any New York songs. And I'm like,
Listen, that's why we go to karaoke
Well,
together.
in that case, you could always sing Springfield, Springfield.
Any Broadway, anything on Broadway, it's close enough.
So Melissa is going to still be with us, but she just may not be on Saturday mornings. We're going to be working on doing different stuff with her. But Melissa, before you have to jump, tell everyone to visit hopefulsimplicity.com and why they need to do that.
I can't talk and point apparently at the same time.
hopefulsimplicity.com.
Yeah. It's because it's all things organizing. If we have an organized life, we're going to live less stressed. And so that's what we do in my community. We share safe spaces, we share before and afters, and sometimes we share life is hard. I didn't do anything today. And that's okay.
That's going to be me today.
Fine.
That's
And then
awesome.
sometimes you get a little geek out or random singing, and sometimes you get a splash of Melissa in there, and we're like, "That's crazy." But
We love that. We love
And hopefully
Melissa.
your husband doesn't come in and scare the crap out of you while you're vacuuming.
well, I don't have one of those, so we're good.
Yeah.
Not
Well-
the husband. I have the vacuum, but I call him Herman, and he comes with a remote. So
Is that the husband too?
I have a kid for that. It's like if I don't want to clean, I'm just like, "Hey, remember that home team we're doing? Let's do it, Ike. I'm gonna go in here."
So, if if Willow, I'm getting all confused this morning. I've been out of it.
Listen,
I'm getting rusty.
So many pretty ladies.
Our names are like right here.
There is a method to my madness. I'm telling you. So if Melissa vanishes suddenly, it's not because I kicked her out of the studio. It's because she's got to go and do her thing. But
Too much energy. Isn't that what you said?
yes, but before she and Drew leave, we have to talk about our topic of the week this week in the rec room. This is why I had Roger here a couple of weeks ago. Roger, we talked about Saturday horror hosts, and this week I put on our Facebook group. I asked people to vote on who they thought their favorite was, the top 5. And lo and behold, we actually got votes for my favorite, Marty Sullivan, Superhost
Oh man, this guy again.
from
Wow.
WUAB Channel 43 in Cleveland, Ohio.
Was he a horror host or just a kids show host?
He was the horrible host. Wait, what?
Serial
He
killer?
calls
Serial
like-
killer?
No.
No. Sometimes
He likes
Roger,
cereal.
sometimes he would. Hey, we're gonna watch.
Why?
We're
I
gonna
just
watch
noticed
some.
that one nipple on his shirt. And
Hey.
he's pointing at it.
It's cold. It's cold in the studio.
It's cold.
But we're gonna watch some Stooges and maybe some cartoons, and we got a Frankenstein meets Abbott and Costello coming up, and that was Superhost.
That's
He was
awesome.
epic. Roger, you gotta look him up. Drew, one more time for you.
Wait, do I have the hands right? I gotta be like,
Everyone do your Superhost pose.
Too sober for that. Yeah.
that's my new
Ivy's
entrance
got
that's my new entrance when I go into the ring, just for Johnny.
You have the one poking out though, like
I love that.
one nipple,
just the one.
just one.
Behind stage with ice. Nobody
It gets
sees that
funnier every time. It gets
does.
funnier every time.
Ivy, I have a question
Oh,
for you.
my goodness.
What's up?
I have a question for Ivy. Are you a fan of the Mexican the Mexican wrestling movies, the luchador films with Santo and Blue Demon and all them?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
awesome,
I haven't watched them in such a long time, but I actually have like this whole weekend coming up, right, really close to my birthday, where I'm binging a lot of old school wrestling, like lucha films, and
Nice.
yeah, it's gonna
Nice.
be cute,
'Cause
and
I have
Korean barbecue at home.
I have a relatively new live show that we've been doing once a month, and next month in July, the second Sunday at 8 p.m., we're going to be talking about luchador films, and I've got a couple of guys that are experts on those films coming on.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna definitely watch that. That's gonna be amazing.
Awesome.
Before that,
Johnny,
Ivy, when is your
set up
birthday?
Ivy,
When's your
July
birthday?
27th. July 27th.
Okay. Mine's June
Yeah.
29th. Okay. You're not in the Cancer realm.
No.
No.
I humbly was born a little bit after that, and then God was like, descent to be a Leo, be a leader.
hey,
All right,
Dave-
guys. Take care.
Oh, see you later, Drew. Thanks for
Okay,
being
love
with
you.
us,
Bye
lady.
bye.
Love
Go watch more Drak Pack,
How dare you?
and never forget.
Oh my God, Dave, I just read your comment. Roger. I just can't. Oh, that is awesome.
Dave
Nice.
Mattingly says, Roger and Ivy, I keep my luchador mask nearby at all times. You never know when I'll run into a disco vampire or a rollerblade werewolf. I love
Yes.
that.
I have mine
So-
available, and my grandson has Blue Demon.
That is awesome. So, like,
Oops.
with my 8x10s in wrestling, my mask is my sunglasses because you never know what I'm looking at or if I'm coming. So, when I take them off, it's like, all right, we're ready to fight. So, a little sun.
Well, that's fantastic. So, this week, Roger, I put out the notice that we were going to be talking about TV horror hosts again. And Willow, were you a part of that episode that we talked about?
No.
But you contributed your picture of your Elvira cosplay,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and we did talk about you. So, we put out the word that we're going to be talking about this, and I asked our fans who their favorites were, who their top 5 was, and we had a few votes for Superhost. And as you'll see, Sandra Noel says her favorite was Joe Bob Briggs. But Roger, you sent me a list of what you consider to be the top 5.
Yes.
And strangely enough, our fan voting lined up pretty much in line with these.
Oh wow.
With the exception of one. He didn't appear on the list. So we'll go through these real quick, and you tell us a little bit about each one and why they are in the top 5.
Okay.
Ready? Here we go.
Vampira, of course. She was the first of the horror hosts. She was she did it. She started in, I believe, 1954. She only ran for a few episodes into 1955. And she's the one. Yeah, it was 54 to 55. She's goth looking. She's got the long black hair, the low cut dress, but she wasn't like she wasn't a pinup girl. She wasn't a cheesecake model. She was intended to scare men. Men were afraid of her, and she was an outsider and a potential threat to masculinity, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
And
my whole life.
to Vampira, men would appear to be unnecessary, and that was really risk taking for 1954. And so, of course, Elvira was sort of based on her. They had a court battle about it and stuff, but I think Vampira she's the grandmother of all the horror hosts because she started the whole thing, and I'll get into the history later on. And then
who have we here?
John Zachary. Yeah, he started shortly after her. He started his TV career in 54 as well, but it wasn't until 57. He had been hosting other shows on I think it was hold on, let me look at my notes. It was WCAU TV in Philadelphia, and he had been hosting like action theater, that kind of thing, and there was a Western theater kind of show where he was hosting Western movies, and he took that character, which was called the Undertaker, and he brought him over into doing his shtick as Zachary, which was his actual real last name, except his real name ended in E. It was Zachary, like ended in E, but he made the character end in a Y, so it's Zachary with a Y at the end. And his thing was, whereas Vampira was sort of just sultry commenting on the films, he was doing actual spoofs and sight gags and comedy skits about the films that he was showing, and that was unique for back then. And he also lasted for 2 years there, but then he continued for quite a long time after that. I mean, literally, the guy was doing appearances in his 90s, and he died in 2016 at the age of 98. So he worked
Wow.
until the end of his life, which was amazing.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
And here we have this fella.
Yep. Bob Wilkins. He's the one. I first discovered him back in the early 90s when I was working on the Fright Channel, or the late 90s, I should say. He was out of, I believe, San Diego, and he didn't have like a shtick per se. He just looked like a normal dude. He sat there. His trademark was his glasses and his cigar, and he would talk about the films you were about to see. And it was one of those things where he was like, okay, if I'm going to host these films, I'm going to be honest about them. So he'd be like, he would go through the TV guide and tell you what other things you could watch instead of the movie he was going to present. And he was great, and he ran for quite a while in the 60s and 70s. Another guy who I'm hoping to have on my show soon, until I have to read his book first, but John Stanley kind of took over for me. Like, he co-hosted for a while and then ended up taking over. But Bob Wilkins is very beloved there. My friend Mr. Lobo, who's a horror host, had met him and knew him, and there's a lot to be said about this guy. I think for all these horror hosts, people really should Google them and look, because there's so much more than what I can impart in like 2 minutes,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then we get into the modern era.
Elvira, Cassandra Peterson. She started in the 80s. I'm going to say first, for myself, I didn't know. I think I read about horror hosts in Famous Monsters magazine, but I didn't really know what they were until we had Creature Double Feature in Boston, and that didn't have a host, just an announcer. And then they took a show on when Creature Double Feature ended. They syndicated another show, which I'll get to shortly. And so that kind of got me. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then Elvira came along with the movie Macabre, was her show. And it was awesome. It was like, I'm going to say like 87, 88. And she's made a couple of films about her character. I think the first one was just Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. And
Yes.
The second one was Elvira's Haunted Hills, which she just made like a decade ago. And that was...
And she's showing off the Haunted Hills right here. In
Exactly. I wasn't going to say it, but yeah.
Yeah.
That one, both her films... It's all about the shtick. It's all about sort of taking what horror hosts have done in the past, and a lot of it is puns and play on words and that sort of thing. But she took it to an art form in the 80s. I mean, everybody was watching Elvira. I have a bunch of DVDs of that show. That it's just, she was amazing, and she's still doing it. It's crazy. She shows up at conventions and stuff.
And she's how old now? 70s?
67?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
She's
Yeah.
still young.
Still
Yeah,
young. Absolutely.
When you consider that Zachary was doing this into his 90s,
Yeah.
she's got at least another 20 years or more.
Exactly.
And
And,
look at
and
her.
it's so funny because my stepmom used to like watch her films and also like her photos. She had a few, and she would practice doing her makeup for Halloween just like her. And then when I was learning how to do my makeup, she was trying to teach me her style. So I had like my entire like photos growing up. You can see me mature with my makeup because I went from like low-key vampire to like dramatic vampire / Lady Gaga to like just simple and just natural. But it's like beautiful memories.
Well, Sandra Noel says,
As you
"I
guys
loved
can
her
tell,
little
I'm
picture in the
a
movie."
little bit of a fan.
Yeah.
So Willow is wearing her Elvira garb.
And then I have this.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Let me take that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have. I love. Here, okay. Sorry about the mess in the background, but so this is
wow.
her makeup set.
Oh,
that's so
look
cool.
at that with the candelabra
Yes.
and the spider webs.
Mhm.
That's fantastic.
And then I have her books. I have, well, obviously the dress.
Yeah,
The-
it's so cute. I love it.
I do dress up as her for Halloween. So yeah, no, I love Elvira. I've been a huge fan of her since the 80s. My mom introduced me to her, and I think it was just like all like the commercials stuff that came out from her and her movie. So yeah, it was just all that. I and then it's like she had a resurgence in late 2000s and just stuck around ever since.
And Dave Mattingly says, "Great outfit, Willow."
Mhm.
Thank you.
Super cute.
And staying with the modern era, the one, the only, Svengoolie.
Yes. So this kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier. So before this guy, we'll talk about in a second, there was a guy called Svengoolie, and he kind of looked like a hippie, same kind of face, but he looked like a hippie back in the late 60s into the 70s. And this gentleman here that we're seeing his name's Rich Coase, and he basically like mailed the original Svengoolie jokes, and he used them on the air, and they formed a relationship, sort of like a mentor relationship, where he actually started to pay Rich Coase to write jokes for his character. And then he became part of the show. He worked on the show. He wrote like skits and gags and all that stuff. And after a while, the guy that played Svengoolie, which I can't remember his name off the top of my head, he decided he was going to retire from the part. And so, but he said, you should take over. Maybe you could be son of Svengoolie. So Rich Coase took over as son of Svengoolie for pretty much almost a decade. I'm going to say 75 to 85 roughly. And that was what I saw when Creature Double Feature ended in Boston. They syndicated the Son of Svengoolie show, and it was this guy that we're looking at, Rich Coase, as the son of Svengoolie. And it was amazing. I was floored. I had never seen anything like this before. This was pre-Elvira, and it was coming out of Chicago. And after a while, he figured that, you know what? Nobody remembers the guy before me. I think it's time to not be the son anymore. I'm going to grow up and I'm just going to be Svengoolie. And he's been doing it ever since. Every week I DVR his show. I watch it with my grandson. Svengoolie's on MeTV in all the markets. It's based out of Chicago, so that's where the sort of MeTV comes from. And to this day, he's still doing it. He's got all kinds of puns, and as you can see in the picture, he's got his rubber chicken. In fact, I have a shirt, a Svengoolie shirt, and on the back it says official chicken thrower. And it's like, because at the beginning of the show, and I think at the end of the show, the crew throws rubber chickens at him, you know. And he's kept up the horror tradition. He's the last national horror TV host. You know, most of them, I have a little background, if John, at some point I'd love to get into real briefly about the history of the horror host, that sort of thing. But, you know, he's the last of them, really, of the national horror hosts. He's seen in every market. There's tons online now. There's tons of people that have become horror hosts. But, you know, Svengoolie, at this point, he's still the king.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, MeTV is not, yes, you can stream it now, but it is an antenna TV station. It is a HD TV station that you can pick up with your antenna.
Right.
Shocking.
We get it on the cable. We get it from Portland, Maine.
Well, TVs already have a antenna.
Yeah.
Inside.
But I had to explain this to a Gen Zer who's like, I can't find the app. I'm like, dude, it's on the TV.
Over the air.
And they were like, what do you mean over the air? I literally had to
It went over their head. That's what happened, Johnny. Literally, it went over.
And Sandra Noel says that Svengoolie was on Joe Bob about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3.
Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't know that.
And let's see. Dave Mattingly says he was the Up All Night host, not a horror host, but I always loved Gilbert Gottfried. As I said,
yeah.
USA's Up All Night. Yes.
Which, by the way, John, I wanted to say that was a great Gilbert impression. You know, God rest his soul, poor guy. I listened to his podcast. Gilbert was amazing, and you did an absolutely spot on impression.
Thank you. And Sandra Noel says, Gen X forever.
Listen, I don't even identify as that. I'm a 90s baby. Can we roll back to the way it was just normal and simple? Like,
Simple,
what happened
yes.
to all these letters and variables? Like, have a seat.
For a generation that doesn't like labels, sure loves though to put a lot of labels on things.
Yeah,
I know.
King says hello, King, and Dave Mattingly says Vampira 9 from Outer Space.
Yes, she was in Plan 9.
Plan 9,
yeah.
You know what? I don't remember what part was she.
Her and Tor Johnson were like the aliens. They can kind of mentally control people and stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that movie again because I don't think I realized that was the same person.
Yeah.
Of course, Plan 9 from Outer Space is.
We're gonna have to have like a bad sci-fi night.
The worst movie ever made.
Well, you know what? It's funny. I have a dispute with that. Yeah, it's a bad movie. First of all, most of the movies that come out now, like the Sci-Fi Channel movies, those are bad on purpose. The movies that came out in the past that were bad, quote unquote bad, they had good intentions. They wanted to make a good movie. They just didn't have the budget or the acting or whatever. And that's why they're bad. But Plan 9, in my book, is not the worst movie ever made, because in my book, Highlander 2 is the worst movie ever made because of the expectation. You know, you go into this movie going after the first one, oh my God, the second one's got to be amazing. And Russell Mulcahy, the director, was saying, oh, you thought the first one was great. This is going to be better. And it turned out they were from another planet and all this other crap.
Highlander 2 made 0 sense. I hated that movie. But Sandra Noel says, Galaxina, way worse than Plan 9. I've never seen Galaxina.
Yeah,
I've never seen that.
I have, yeah. Again, it's hard.
Regrets in that sentence.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it.
I think that one went over.
Listen, Sandra Noel, you keep dropping this knowledge on our show. You're going to have to become a host. Dave Mattingly says Plan 9 might be the worst movie ever made, but Ed Wood is my favorite Depp film. Ed Wood. Great movie. And Dave Mattingly also says there's no such thing as Highlander 2.
Ed Wood is
there was only one.
He's like, what are you guys even talking about? Did you see that movie in your dreams? Maybe that's why.
Which, Highlander 2?
Yeah.
I wish.
Well, no. Did you guys not get the pun? There was only one.
There shall be only one.
Oh, yeah.
It's only one.
Which never made sense to me. How can an immortal be killed if he's immortal? And
well, the premise of the film is that they can only be killed if their head is severed from their body. So that's why they fight with swords, which is kind of classy if you think about it in terms of, you know, movie combat. These guys have to fight with swords or axes or something and decapitate their opponent.
Did you not watch the television show?
I absolutely watched the television show, and what the television show explained that the movie doesn't is that the person who kills the other immortal, say there's two, one kills the other one, he absorbs all of the power and knowledge of the one that he killed, and that works exponentially. So if that guy's killed, say, 50 immortals, he's got all their power. Now this guy kills him, he's got all that power, and the point is the last one left. There can be only one. The one who's standing at the end has the sum total of all the power and all the knowledge of all the immortals.
But why can there only be one?
Because they're from the planet Zeist. I don't know.
I never understood that either. Like, why would they want to just be one? Like, why wouldn't they want to work together with each other?
I have a friend who has a theory that somewhere in the past, in the distant past, way, way back, there was one dude that was super powerful. He was so powerful that his power, somebody or some higher force split his power into the humans on the planet. And so the goal was that this guy's power, you know, went into like almost everybody, like let's say a percentage of the population. And then little by little, they are called to gather together to fight each other until finally one guy at the end or girl, whatever, gets all the power.
But then
Totally
you're killing off all your friends.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone you have something in common with, gone.
But you know what? That's kind of the cool moral quandary. I mean, in the TV show, Duncan MacLeod was friends with other immortals, and they all knew that at some point we're gonna have to freaking fight each other and kill each other. I like that. I like that moral quandary for storytelling purposes.
I guess. Now we're over time, but I wanted to give you time, Roger, to talk about the history of TV movie horror hosts, because you did a huge amount of research. Listen, you guys, when I asked Roger to send me just a few facts about TV movie horror hosts, he sent me 5 pages.
Was it that long?
Unbelievable.
Front and back.
And he was like, I didn't have a whole lot of time to come up with something. Here's just stuff off the top of my head.
He did this. He did the archives. He's like, so let me see. Front and back.
Above and beyond. And the doctoral thesis that he sent me, we could talk about for weeks, but we got 10 minutes. So
okay.
Give us the Reader's Digest version.
Okay, so back in the early 1930s, like 1931, you had Universal came up with like Dracula and Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, and they were huge hits. But by 1936, they felt the audiences didn't really care about horror all that much. But in 1938, there were floods in Hollywood. There were financial issues, so a lot of the studios were running out of films to play first run because they couldn't make them for various reasons. And so the concept of reissuing films was on the table, and most of the studios were like, no, bleep that. We're not putting reissuing films. But Universal was like, that's actually kind of a good idea. So they tried to put out some of their films, but they did stupid pairings. Like they'd pair Dracula with a movie called Lady Tubbs, stuff like that. And, they tested it out in New York and nobody cared. However, there was a dude in California named Emil Uman, and he owned a theater called the Regina Theater in Beverly Hills. And he thought not only playing Dracula and Frankenstein was a good idea, but he also added in Son of Kong, which was from RKO, which was a different studio, obviously, than Universal. And this triple feature was supposed to run for 4 days. But the first night, they had so many people, they had to call the cops because they couldn't control the crowds. It was enormous. So he dropped Son of Kong because he figured if he just had the 2 films, because both Dracula and Frankenstein, the originals, only run a little bit over an hour, I think, he could get more showings in of them. It was a huge hit. He got tons of money. And at that point, Universal kind of got dollar signs in their eyes. They were like, oh, we could actually make money. But from the Regina Theater, from that particular place, they weren't getting a percentage. They were getting a flat fee. So Universal pulled those pictures, Dracula and Frankenstein, and they decided to do a wider release in theaters where they would get a percentage. And basically you had this horror renaissance. They reissued them in like Seattle, Portland, Oregon, Indianapolis, Detroit, Chicago. They made 500 prints of the films and sent them out, and it was a huge hit. So now you're getting into the 1950s where TV is almost everyone has a TV in their household now. And it was a big thing. It was a new thing. And the movie studios were going, well, how can we capitalize on this? And Universal sort of realized they had this previous success with reissuing their horror films. There was a renewed interest in these films. We could do it again on the small screen. So what they did was Screen Gems actually was the company that sort of took the Universal films and they created something called the Shock Package. And it's shock with an exclamation point at the end. And they sent them to TV stations, and it came with a set of instructions, grab the weatherman, throw a cape on him, make him host the films, make it interesting, talk about facts about the films. And it worked. And this happened in all the different markets. Some of the markets didn't have a horror host. Like I said, in Boston, we did have a host, I think, in the 60s called The Ghoul. But when Creature Double Feature came along from 1975 to 85, we just had a voiceover. But still, it was kind of the same thing. That's
that's how Marty Sullivan became super host.
Yeah. And then by the 70s, they did it again. They called it, well, first of all, let me just say with the Shock package, that's why there's a lot of TV shows, or there were a lot of TV shows back in the day called Shock Theater because of the Shock package. In the 70s, they did another package called Creature Features. And this one included, sci-fi and horror films of the 50s and 60s, the British horror films from those decades, Japanese giant monster movies. We saw a lot of Godzilla films, and that's what I grew up with. And John, probably you, was the Creature Features package. And again, in those markets, we had shows called, like in Boston, like I said, Creature Double Feature, or I think there was one in Philadelphia also, the same name. But there were Creature Features all over the place. Bob Wilkins' show was Creature Features, and it was because of that package. And
and that's what Superhost was.
Yes.
So Superhost did Creature Feature, and we're talking about Bob Wilkins.
Yep.
And
And the thing is, Mr. Lobo, who I referenced earlier, is a friend of mine. He's also a horror host. He was actually in the remake of Plan 9 from Outer Space. So if you watch the original, you'll have to watch the remake too. But he pointed out at one point, I was at a convention. It was the Horror Hound in Indianapolis back in 2011. And he pointed out that, okay, so all these packages went to all the different markets, and each market sort of had their own way of showing these films. Yet we all grew up watching the same films. It wasn't, nationally syndicated. It wasn't like watching one show in every market, the same show. These were different shows, yet we were still watching the same films growing up, and we didn't even know it. We weren't connected back then like we are today with the internet and all that. And that's an amazing thing to think about, that this whole generation grew up kind of into the same thing that everyone else was. We just didn't know it. We had no way of figuring that out. And it's an amazing thing to think about,
No,
it really is. And I grew up watching those Universal horror movies on Saturday afternoon, hosted by, all jokes aside, super host Marty Sullivan. He hosted the Universal monster movies, the Godzilla movies, the Creature Features, all of that. And I loved watching those shows on Saturday afternoon. For me, for a lot of people, it was Saturday night or, Friday night. Like in my hometown, we had a Friday night host called the Ghoul, the cool Ghoul. And he was a friend of mine who owned a local comic book shop, and he bought time on the public access channel, and it became so popular that it got picked up by the local network. But, you're right. We were all experiencing that same thing. Now, Ivy, you're a little bit younger than Roger and I.
No, but that's what I was going to say. Like, what you grew up on, it led into my generation in the 90s, and it kind of set the tone of what we were going to grow up with. And, technology was getting better. Internet was sort of slowly making its way around to us. Not like now, but in the beginning. And it's just, it's so awesome because I learned so much from you guys too at the same time, because it gives me an opportunity to kind of understand my siblings when they were growing up, conversations we never possibly had. And then now we have those conversations and talk about it now. We kind of tell each other about, what we were watching and what I was watching when they were out with their friends, playing handball or basketball. So I love these moments. I get really like student, like, yeah, okay, you're the master. Keep telling me more. Like, tell me more.
And Willow, you're much younger than I am as well. But did you have the same kind of experience growing up?
I loved watching like Tales from the Crypt, and it's sad that up in Canada we didn't have like the horror host thing that became popular for you guys, but we did have like a lot of children shows and stuff like that. But I absolutely loved watching things like the Twin Peaks back in the day, and then now I can't really stand those movies, but
well, and so Roger, the Saturday horror hosts would have fed into the late 80s, 90s Tales from the Crypt, Twin Peaks, and well, obviously into the late mid 80s, the whole resurgence of the slasher films in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of like the books I read too. Like I forgot the name. Johnny might.
Goosebumps.
No, not just Goosebumps, but when they used to they touch anything and they turn into that animal.
Oh,
Was that
Animorphs.
Yes, yes. Those are the books that I used to read in school.
Roger, you're on mute.
Hold
there
on.
you go.
There we go.
Nope. Still can't hear you. Something's going on.
Hold on, something wrong with my mic.
Oh no, we hear
There,
you now.
there
Can you
go.
hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What books were you talking about?
Animorphs.
Animorphs.
Oh, Animorphs.
Yeah, Animorphs. That's what I grew up on. And I used to love how like the number of the pages used to also have like them slowly turning into that animal, whatever it was, or a series of different animals that they'll turn into in that series. So that was
Right.
like one of my favorites.
But in the 80s too, we had, Al Lewis, who was Grandpa Munster. He hosted movies. Commander USA's Groovy Movies. Of course, Elvira, Joe Bob Briggs started in the 80s. I remember watching him on the Movie Channel, I think.
Mhm.
And, let's not forget that a group that are considered a horror hosts, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh yeah.
They hosted bad movies and it was great. We had Svengoolie. In the 90s, we had Gilbert Godfrey doing Up All Night, as you mentioned earlier.
And Downtown Julie Brown.
That's right. Yep. And then in the 2000s, we have a guy named Dr. Gangrene, who's still doing it today. Penny Dreadful, who's still doing it.
And Dr. Gangrene is based out of Nashville here.
That's right. Yep. Yep. And Count Gore Duvall, he's still doing stuff. He's got his own Roku channel. Of
That's
course,
awesome.
See,
another guy
I
named...
feel like there's a market that's missing for Canadian television, and
Willow, you're gonna have to create it, sweetheart.
You know what?
You're gonna have to put on your director's hat. Hold on. Put on your director's hat. Put on your producer hat. Look, you're gonna have to bring it.
The CRTC is so worried about the Canadian content being a miss. Where are our horror hosts? This is what we need.
It's that America is so jealous of the healthcare out there, so we just don't give you certain shows.
That's what it is. And
I got your Canadian content right here, folks.
Roger, there's a new show out of Channel 43 WUAB in Cleveland where we had super hosts when I was growing up. Today they've got Leopold and Lenora.
Oh, okay.
And they are doing old school horror film every Saturday night. Nice. Out of Channel 43 in Cleveland. So we're starting, and of course, Svengoolie now on MeTV, nationally syndicated. I think we're starting to see a resurgence of some of that nostalgia with the skit comedy and whatnot in between the commercial breaks. And I think it's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
And you know what's funny? What I think is an inspiration to a lot of these, and inspiration certainly to myself. I don't know about you, John, but do you remember Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine?
Yep.
Yeah. Forey
It's still
Ackerman.
produced, by the way.
That's right. It is. And it's produced by someone who's pretty good. There was a dispute at some point about a decade ago. And, Famous Monsters was edited by a guy named Forey Ackerman.
Mm-hmm.
And his shtick was puns. So when you read these magazines, not only are they giving you information about all the movies that came out or are coming out, but he would do it in the form of puns and play on words and stuff like that. And I think a lot of the horror hosts were sort of inspired by that, which is why, like, if you watch Svengoolie, he does all that stuff. He's always doing play on words and puns and stuff. And I find it hilarious. I love puns. My kids, they groan and cringe every time, but they know it's coming,
Listen, I love a good pun, so
You're so punny.
And it would fit in today's culture too, because dad jokes are everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, my dad. Well, you say you have grandchildren, so you, to both of you and Drew that has left already, happy early Father's Day.
Thank you.
And thank you for throwing this knowledge, because I have learned so much today. And I can't wait to see your episode with
Awesome.
like Lucha. I can't wait. Please
Awesome.
send me
It's gonna be
please
so
send me
fun.
the details so I can follow and subscribe.
I will.
So
Absolutely.
we do have to run. We're way over time, but I want to get a few last comments in. My favorite, it says Dave Mattingly, my favorite 50s horror movie is Them. I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid. I saw it on Superhost. I haven't seen it since then. I remember loving that. I need to go watch it again.
Nice.
And Sandra Noel says, in the Connecticut area, there was a host called Dr. Atomic and Mad Frank.
I remember Mad Frank because my aunt lived in Danbury, Connecticut growing up. So I remember that.
Awesome. So, Roger, if someone wanted to get into some of these classic horror hosts that we've talked about, where's the best place to send them?
That's a good point. Well, I think the and I got to call the link up. I think the best one is I think the link I sent you. Hold on, let me see.
We lost you.
There's something wrong with the connection. I'm gonna have to get a new cable. There's a website and it's Igor's Chamber of Horror Hosts. Let me see if I can call it up real quick. Oh, there we go. Here, see if it's coming. Yeah, igorschamber.com, EGORS chamber.com. And this pretty much is the most comprehensive list. There's sort of like at the bottom of the page, there's an A to Z list. You can click on them and literally just go through them. That is the most comprehensive list of horror hosts. It's hard though, like if you don't know, like let's say you grew up in a particular city.
Is that it? Igor's
Chamber.com. That's exactly it. Yes. I highly recommend that. In fact, I'm listed in there as Uncle Death. But I think, you know what? Go to YouTube. Or first of all, Google. If you don't know, like if let's say you grew up in a certain market, who were the horror hosts in, XYZ market? Just Google it and then go to Igor's. You can find references to it and then go to YouTube. Chances are a lot of their videos are now on YouTube,
Yep. Superhost is on YouTube.
There you go. Yeah, I got to check that out now. I haven't seen that guy. I love it. Elvira's on DVD. There's not a lot of these on DVD, unfortunately. I think, especially in the case of Vampira and Zachary, back then they figured, oh, nobody's going to watch this shit anymore. Oh, pardon my French. Nobody's going to watch this stuff anymore. We'll just record over the tapes that we made. So they lost a lot of stuff. I mean, even early Doctor Who's are gone forever because they just figured nobody was going to watch them again,
Yep. I hear you. All right, guys, we had an extra long episode this morning, but you know what? We can do that because I own the network. But thank you, Willow and Ivy, for hanging out. So for those of you who are watching, Willow is going to be joining us as a regular co-host.
Yay!
Awesome. Congratulations.
As not just subbing for D, but also, as Melissa rotates in and out. And for those of you wondering where Sean Connors has been, he's been off doing dad stuff himself. So he is kind of stepped back for a while as well. He'll be back.
He had a couple graduations. He had a couple of graduations in the family. And he's doing, Sean, we love you. We think about you all the time.
Yes,
and
we do.
Happy early Father's Day to you, too.
So Sean Connery, I think he's off fighting Spectre, isn't he? Yes, money pad.
It's offsides. Follow me, boy. Anyway, no, he'll be back after the summer, and so it's me, D, Willow, and Ivy.
Nice,
Roger. I surround myself with beautiful, talented women on purpose.
I see that. I'm jealous.
Listen, if I'm just saying, I'm in New York, so if this soap opera is in New York, you need some extras, you need an actress.
Hey.
Call me up.
I'm just writing soap opera news, not writing them yet. But my goal
Listen,
is
I'm putting it out there in the future for you. I'm manifesting it for you.
I'll keep that in mind.
This is the closest that I'll ever get to becoming a Charlie's Angel. So
Sweetheart, you are a Charlie's Angel. You are our Canadian Charlie's Angel.
All right. So with that, we're gonna say goodbye. Hey, follow everyone on their social. Roger, then is now. What is your best website?
Go to havenpodcasts.com and you'll find all our stuff. We're on both shows are on all the podcasting apps, but that's probably the best starting point is havenpodcastsplural.com.
I'm gonna put that right here. Havens.
No, Haven
One Haven
podcasts.
Podcast.
Look, she's got it right there.
Mo-
Ivy, good job, Ivy.
I'm
Maybe
bringing
even
that up on the big
podcast.
screen.
Thank you for that. That's awesome.
There you go.
.com. There you go.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. It's an honor to be here again. I love it. I got to come back more often. I really enjoy doing the show.
Or I want to have you on Cryptic Crunch one of these days.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely.
That's our spin-off show
Yep.
that Willow hosts in the treehouse. And so Sunday nights, he would be great as a co-host, guest, regular guest.
I just want to pick your brain.
With
In
a
more ways than
spoon.
one.
With a spoon.
I
I
saw
said,
that picture online. I love that.
pick your brain.
I'd get my cereal bowl, but the dog ate it all.
With
So
a
it's all good.
spoon.
More brains.
All right. Willow, where can people find you? At Willow Skylar on all of the socials.
Everywhere. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I'm everywhere. I even have a TikTok.
I was gonna ask you, are you on the talk?
I am.
Are you ticking and talking?
Yes, I'm gonna become famous with all my cat videos.
Now, Ivy, you said that as if your mother confronted you in that fashion.
No, she did. She did. She really did. Especially when it was the Red Room challenge, and she goes, "Are you stripping on the talks?"
Well, so
No.
Ivy, there's a reason to follow Ivy, Healing with Ivy on Instagram. This week, she did post some rather steamy photos of herself in her underwear.
Yeah, in my PJs. Because listen, guys, I used to be 15 pounds with no self-confidence, no self-esteem. So the Healing with Ivy journey is me bettering my mental health and physically. And I've been getting back to my wrestling roots. I've been on stage in comedy and I want to feel good about myself. So I've
And
been putting
you
in the work.
look phenomenal. You look
Thank you.
fabulous.
Thank you.
And
But I had Burger King for dinner last night. I'm just saying.
hey, that's okay. It's all about balance.
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 Well, I balanced that burger.
With fries and a milkshake.
on your flat stomach.
Yeah, just
She's
lay back.
she's looking fantastic. So follow her on Instagram. Follow havenpodcast.com. You can find me at johnpica.com and connect with me on all of the socials. And with that, and Dave Mattingly says, Ivy, congrats for taking ownership of your
thank
body.
you, Dave. Oh my
Thank
God,
you,
and
Dave.
Orville is getting really good. He's my Orville buddy.
Yeah,
Dave is
Orville's
my Orville.
phenomenal.
He's my buddy.
Phenomenal. We could talk about this stuff all week, and we will again next week.
Excellent.
So until then, if you like the show, make sure you tell 200-300 of your closest friends and family to come share the fun. You can contribute to help us improve the show at buymeacoffee/cerealboxpod, and tell 200-300 of your closest friends and family to come share the fun. Like us,
Tell
subscribe,
everybody.
give us a review, and until the next time, love you, mean it. We'll catch you on the back of the cereal box.